Hey, I'm Jason Kesser, back on Beach Channel Live, and I'm here with a very special local artist that I'm so excited to talk to. His name is Bryan Andrew Medina, and he creates all of his own music. He has a label that we're going to talk about and really brings on and supports local artists, and I can't wait to dig into this. Bryan, thanks so much for coming down and talking to me.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show.
I appreciate you. Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Good to have you, boss.
Thank you, man.
So, I'm not going to call you a DJ, even though some could, but you create all of your own original music. Can we just start there, like you being from Miami and why you decided to focus on creating like original music?
Well, first I had started on originals that had to do with rock. About 12 years ago, I started making rock music, and I was influenced by Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, and I wanted to take that route, so I started with progressive rock. And,
a lot of like Dorian mode.
Yeah, a lot of Dorian mode, a lot of time signatures, man.
Yeah.
And
the best music though.
yeah, it's really great.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And one thing that I've learned over time is, when as an artist you're able to do whatever you like. As a DJ specifically, you're able to play other people's tracks. You have the ability to do that in front of an audience. And I found that my artistic voice and like the one that speaks true about myself is playing my own music and my own craft.
That's so worth it, and it's daring, but it's so worth it. Not that, I mean, a lot of people create original music, but when you're going out there and like spinning it, and you have the ability to just like crowd satisfy, I'm sure like you could probably spin a really good set. But when you first started creating your own music, once you started to like evolve past rock, like did you find yourself getting into like a brand new territory that your contemporaries around you were also kind of like plugged into, or were you going off in a direction of your own?
I went off in a completely different direction. While everybody was kind of finding their own way and coming into their own groups, I went into more isolation. Like I started listening to ambient music. I started listening to stuff that people have never really heard about here, and like diving into other places in the world and seeing like, hey, what are they creating that hasn't really been touched on here, and like what
Sure.
sound design speaks the voice. And
For ambient, like any Canadians?
well, Dan Phelps.
Yeah.
Dan Phelps. And he created an album called Modular, which I became a fan of, and then I saw that he put it on sale for like $5 in vinyl, and I was like, no, dude, like I have to buy this.
You're worth more than this.
Yeah. And that was one of the big initial inspirations that dove me away from rock music and put me into like the synth world.
Very cool.
Yeah. And
Pink Floyd delivered you to the world of ambient,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
probably by accident. Yeah,
Pink
yeah.
Floyd, Bryan,
For sure.
all that, John Hopkins, all that whole realm of design first is really, really beautiful.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and sound design is really important to you.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you before, I've seen on your Instagram that you're like a lover of Korgs and like, good equipment. Do you use like vintage equipment, or do you get into that stuff? And like, tell me about some of your sound design that's like either period related, or like where you source like your instruments from.
Well, all the synthesizers that I use are considered now to some extent modern classics, where they're digitally controlled analog synthesizers. So they have a digital software chip inside of it that can control an analog engine. It can keep it in tune. It can go ahead and manipulate it in the way that MIDI works, but they aren't necessarily modern tools. Like a Moog Sub-Fatty was completely discontinued. The original Korg Mini-Log is discontinued.
For sure.
And all these sounds like eventually become reminiscent of a certain era and a certain time where they were new.
Yeah.
And to me,
And their analog quality is connecting you to those times.
and it's connecting me to those times. Yeah.
Right. But
And
you don't have to tune it.
you don't have to tune it. No,
No.
but
Like I need help with my roads right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, dude, the
It sounds
tubes-
good. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and what I'd say is the beauty of it is that it places you in a specific design rather than choosing like 1,000 plugins. I'd rather have none and have just a very strong mastering chain with really great compression, really great tools. Even though I could use the software and I know how to use it, I choose to run the physical through through something that I could record it and not save it. Not save the
Absolutely.
patch, not have a way to replicate it ever exactly to its extent. There's something about capturing a moment in its like ephemeral nature.
And
And it's just something I was talking about
uniqueness.
yesterday.
Yeah. Tell me.
Yeah, like there's something about capturing that specific moment and that specific sound that you can't replicate.
No.
Period. You know.
Yeah.
On a
And it's true for some of our most famous or favorite artists and albums. Like, even they themselves might have not been able to come in the same studio the next week and like recreated it possibly. You know what I mean? Even with the same equipment. So.
or never again be in the same headspace to do it. You know,
Right.
sometimes a song is about a moment in time, and the only period that'll exist in your life is that exact moment. You might change your perspective a day later.
Can I put you down that our own psychology can affect tone?
Yeah, 100%.
100%. With a philosophy like that, would you encourage like other people of your generation to consider making music that way? And I do want to hear about the label that you created with your partners, and if you want people who embrace that kind of creative that process to join the label, who are analog driven or appreciate some of the same qualities that you do.
You know, for me, I don't really look for that specifically. What I do look for is an artist who is themselves unapologetically. It doesn't matter what anybody else says or thinks or me or my opinions or anything. If they are themselves and their voice is coming through their art and their craft in a way that is true to them, that to me is the most important part of music. And that's why the artists that I chose to be on my new record are those, because they are themselves.
Very cool.
And like it's in a way that you can speak to them on the street, that's them. But then in their music, that's them too. You know.
You can hear honesty like with any equipment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And confidence too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Honesty and confidence sometimes go hand in hand.
Yes.
It's a really good lesson. Like all of us should have to like relearn that over and over again,
It's
in life.
Never stop learning.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Can you tell me about the label real quick?
Yeah. Ban All Music Records was founded in 2022.
It's Ban All Music, BAN.
Yes.
Right.
Ban All Music Records.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is not an instruction to society, but like.
It's not an instruction, and it's not a call to action either. It's more like, it's more of an idea. The industry is changing, and it changes every day, and it's always been changing and adapting. And even people who say, like myself, that we know about the music industry and you could have played in 1,000 different cities and toured forever, you don't know.
Next week it's going to be different.
Next week it's going to be different, and there's places that have had to change all the time. They've had to go from printing out records to printing out discs to printing out CDs to printing out cassettes to going to the digital era, and now what's next, right? And keeping your eye on the horizon and future-proofing yourself is really important. So Ban All Music Records is really just a philosophy on, hey, this is more of a concept. Music is just for your ears, take away everything that's abstract and out of the ordinary and just remember, hey, this is a song.
And it lives beyond the medium you're using at that particular moment in time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool, man. Is there are there things changing in music right now that you feel like you want to talk about? Because I mean, with this last year has been super intense for a lot of different types of artists, with generative art, affecting visual artists, affecting voiceover artists like myself and all kinds of stuff. But I think some musicians they took their knocks 20 years ago and 10 years ago that we haven't really taken yet. Is there anything you want to say about that? Like how music is being affected right now by technology?
I'd say like any other generation and every other point in time, we're always going to face a time where people have opinions about being creative and using certain tools for your creativity, like AI, or using something that can honestly vastly either improve your sound or make it worse. It's all subjective. It's all how you use it. Like when there was the invention of the radio, right? It no longer became you have to be in this room to listen to this song. It became listen to this print, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that artists back in the day were like, what?
Yeah.
You
Music
were
from
like,
the past?
Music from the past.
Whatever do you mean?
Being played forever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a demented idea.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yep.
It's not the first time I've thought of it, but it's been a while. Like that is
Yeah.
super spooky, dude.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we're sometimes, we'll watch a movie from the 1940s, and people will be in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and we forget to honor and respect the people that created this. Every person behind the camera, every person who designed the audio, who went ahead and had ideas in the tubes, who literally put together the wires in that room, has passed.
Yeah.
We forget that when we watch something from the time, and we just find it entertaining, but what we're really watching is something that should belong in a museum.
For sure.
And should be respected.
No, this morning I was watching like people drive down like Wilshire Boulevard in 1935, and like every person in the frame is not there anymore, and I was just wondering where each of them was going.
Yeah.
Like whose day? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That means we're trapped in time right now, dude. What we're doing right now. This is terrible. We should stop this interview like immediately.
I don't know. I've come to accept it. It's,
Do you want to tell me and by virtue tell people like how we can check out your label and maybe some of the people that we'll find on it?
Yeah, absolutely. So my label is called Ban All Music Records, and one thing that we do is we host a lot of events.
I want to know where to go too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we host. So we started this project called the Watchtower. We used to be doing a show every single night, and our goal in this venue was to pack the place. And we got to the point where we were packing it every night, but we didn't make that work. So we went on and we said, you know what? Let's do it ourselves. Let's just do it us, and let's find a way that we do it in a way that's just us. And so we started creating and developing this idea to go and not just do events here, but in other cities, and partner up with other places and different sponsors and different vendors, and all from the ground.
That's in collaboration with your other artists that are part of your label, yeah?
Yeah, everybody's a collaborator, not just the musician. Like the vendors are collaborators. The people that design the clothing are collaborators. The venues are collaborators. Like, we make sure to be inclusive towards every single person, not just the artists and musicians, but everybody that is involved.
And if it's all cohesive, like almost as one piece of art, like all you guys together collaborating, like what do you call that, like army of awesomeness that you're sending out of our city, like onto the world? What do you guys call as like a collective? Like, is it really Ban All Music, and your events are called that? If somebody wanted to find them,
so the most recent one that we threw, which was our flagship, was called the Watchtower. So usually you'll see two names attached to it. You'll see Ban All Records and the Sound Library.
Nice.
And the Sound Library was a concept that was created for everybody to use. It was a series of instruments that people, whether they could or they could not afford, instruments at home, could come in and play at any point in time without a charge, without
Bryan,
any
that's
fee.
so cool.
And they could go and they could learn and practice. And that led to an environment where everybody was creative. Everybody wanted to be at that exact point in time. And so now we take it with us. The Sound Library is it's a collection of tools that people can use in the way that they want to use it. It doesn't matter if someone's been playing music for 20 years or for one. What matters the most is that they're able to go and learn from each other. Every single person, a veteran, could learn from someone that just picked up an instrument yesterday. Yeah. And the same way, like vice versa. And like that's something that it doesn't just translate to music, but it translates to every walk of life as well. I used to be a teacher, and I used to teach 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade math and science.
That's not easy to do.
No.
For me, like no, it might have been easy for you.
It was a challenge to teach kids to learn all these things, but it was also, for me, it was more teaching kids how to be the best version of themselves and to put their best foot forward and to be active and actionable in the things that they do and think about the outcomes of everything that they have and be intentional with their decisions.
Very cool, man. Does that work into like you're helping people like cultivate their musical ideas in the same way?
Yeah.
Like with these tools, like having these tools available, like the library, like you said.
Yeah. It really says, hey, let's do it. And not like, let's do it one day, or let's plan a time, or let's plan a piece of time. It's let's do it right now.
For sure.
And let's get it done. Yeah.
Do we have any pictures of Watchtower? Anything that I can look at? Like, what am I looking at right here?
What you're seeing is the event Watchtower, which is our flagship. Those are the ones that I had sent over to you guys.
Yeah. It looks like madness.
Yeah, it was madness.
Where was that? In Miami?
That was in Blackbird Ordinary.
Oh, in Blackbird.
Yeah.
Do you like that as a venue space?
I love the space. I love the management. For most nights, I wouldn't enjoy the music that's there, but that's just me. There's a lot of great songs that are played throughout the venue.
But it's a good stage.
but
and it's a good back like area.
it's a staple of Miami, and
Yeah.
what it was missing was like a dip into what is going on in the culture,
For
right?
sure.
Like what is going on the ground level. Like so many people have moved from out of state, from New York, from Los Angeles, from Chicago, that we're kind of losing home base. We're losing the people that were born and raised here, and the people that are actually doing stuff that are from here, and everybody at Watchtower was from Miami.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
whether they live here and they're from somewhere where they moved and they're trying to make it here, or they were born and raised here.
Right, right, right.
Everybody was an artist that was here, and we missed that in Music Week. We missed locally locally raised artists,
Sure,
people
sure,
that
sure.
that come from Miami, that they adopt not just a mindset of Miami itself, but what their heritage is and where they came from as members of mostly Latin communities and stuff like that. Like,
Dude,
we
I
all
hate to
forget.
sound like this boutique, but like I told you, I got absolutely soaked at Ultra this weekend, and it was
Yeah.
a blast. And I, just didn't get electrocuted watching Tiesto, and it was all fun. But like I'm old enough to remember Winter Music Conference,
Yeah.
which sort of Ultra is very much a part of, but it kind of built on top of.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like thinking of like a 20-story building that used to be that's on top of what used to be a beautiful house I used to hang out in. Do you feel like that was something that helped that kind of local artists like have a place to grow? And do we have anything like that now? Are we trying to recreate that?
Well, we're definitely trying to grow the local community. There is 1 week a year that everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to play during Music Week. Everybody wants a space. Everybody wants to perform. And everybody doesn't have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
Art Basel of sound.
It's the Art Basel of Sound.
It shouldn't just be a week, like neither of them.
Yeah, it should be Miami Music Month.
Yeah.
But on top of that, I can have my say and my opinions on it, but the fact is Ultra has, Ultra and these large scale festivals have taken over, Miami.
For sure.
And I would love to play them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like we had the opportunity last year to play 3 Points. And without that opportunity, what would we would still be where we are.
Yeah, yeah.
And it doesn't matter, in the end of the day, it doesn't matter that they have gone and taken over and this and that. What matters is that they're able to give local artists a platform that could also grow them as international artists or as national acts.
For sure.
And taking those steps out of your comfort zone is important.
Are there? Speaking of 3 Points, like I think Wynwood was a really good period for Miami, or what Wynwood became, because back in like the mid 2000s, like it was really just kind of a bunch of us, mostly great artists, like getting the keys to empty warehouses and just bringing stuff there, be it art or music, and creating spaces like to make, even if it was just in like a part of town that nobody's going to go to, or it was really dangerous to park in or whatever, like we're making like, do you feel like that needs to happen in a new part of Miami, or is it? And like this picture in particular was just super cool
Yeah.
right now. Is like, what kind of space is that? Is that like a warehouse space, or?
That right there is also from Blackbird.
Oh, that's Blackbird too?
Yeah.
It looks like totally different events. You guys were killing it.
We threw like a big boiler room style set. That's Hollow Tide, that you see on the screen right there, and we'll have a song coming out in a few, in
Nice.
some time. Yeah.
Bryan, I want to know, I want everybody to know, anybody who is looking for your calendar or where they can show up for stuff like this, so they can see like such a great collaboration. I want them to go, and I'm going to be on top of your calendar too, because I really want to see some of these shows, and I want to understand you guys as a collective too, and as a movement. And next time, if you feel like coming back, maybe we can hear some song samples, or we can actually talk about genres. Can I ask
Yeah.
you one question to finish? What do you think about albums versus like releasing stuff on Spotify the way people release like one song at a time, which I don't think is really necessarily a bad thing, but you came from albums. Like, is there are albums going to come back in our future? Is there a benefit to listening to them that way?
There's a benefit to listening to albums, but at the same time, there's a benefit to listening to singles. When you're, for example, like on a playlist, I wish that the next song could be a part of your record. So if there were record-based playlists where instead of like being one song at a time, It's like this, this loop of different records that might go together. That would be awesome. But now at this point in time, I can't say that we're either in a singles market or an albums market, but I could say that if you're looking for the most monetary value out of your things, at least as an artist that's not of a massive scale, right? You're probably at this point looking at records. You're probably looking at albums, because everybody's trying to jump on singles. Everybody's trying to do the quick thing. And like for me, I always run against what everybody's doing. And I find that to be the best route for me forward. Like everybody says, oh, it's a singles market, it's a singles market, it's a singles market. But if you release a record, you have a whole bunch of singles inside that people could just shuffle, put on a playlist, and then there's singles.
Sure.
So then,
Totally.
yeah, instead of giving one option, it's how you release the record. Releasing one song at a time from your record leads, okay, it's a single, but it's all part of of a big project. And like thinking about it, like not from singles, and not from like 10 of them stacked as a record, but thinking of it in retrospect as, instead of releasing it, think of when it's released. So thinking of it as as discography.
Yeah.
Right. And when you think of it like that, and you think of it from the future looking backwards, you say, what are the right steps to get to this position that you can go and move? And I think the answer becomes, it doesn't matter if it's a singles market or an albums market anymore. They're all singles.
Just keep going against the grain. I think it's going to work out. And please take us back to albums. And then I think everything you're doing as far as like an art collective and what Ban All Music stands for is even bigger than an album. So everybody is sort of like just artistically like moving in the same direction in a way, even if they're all unique.
Right.
Dude, it was such a pleasure talking to you.
It's a pleasure, man.
Yeah, man. Can't wait to see you out in the wild.
Oh, quick shout out. I want to shout out Stevie and Rochelle for helping me put everything together all the time.
This is all on the Ban All Music label. Guys, keep an eye on Bryan, Andrew, Medina. I was so glad to be able to talk to you today. I'm Jason Kesser. This is Beach Channel Live. Come back. We'll see you soon.